Picture yourself aboard a creaking ship in the early morning mist. The faint scent of salt water fills the air as the sails billow overhead. Suddenly, a cannon roars in the distance. You peer through the fog and see a ship, tattered black flag raised high, charging straight toward you. Pirates, but not just any pirates. The most fearsome, cunning, and infamous marauders to ever sail the seven seas. Today, we embark on a journey through history to meet the most notorious pirates of all time. We begin with perhaps the most iconic pirate of all, Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard. Blackbeard's reputation was as fearsome as his appearance, with long black hair and a thick, dark beard, often tied with ribbons, and more menacingly, lit with slow-burning fuses during battle to create an aura of terror. Born in Bristol, England, around 1680, Teach began his maritime career as a privateer during the War of Spanish Succession. But once the war ended, he turned to piracy. By 1716, Blackbeard had earned a fearsome reputation, eventually capturing a French slave ship and renaming it the Queen Anne's Revenge. With this mighty vessel, Blackbeard terrorized the eastern coast of North America and the Caribbean. His most famous act was the blockade of Charleston, South Carolina in 1718, where he held an entire town hostage for medical supplies. Although his reign was short-lived, Blackbeard's death was as dramatic as his life. In a fierce battle against Lieutenant Robert Maynard, Blackbeard was finally killed after receiving 5 gunshot wounds and 20 sword slashes. Even today, Blackbeard's legacy endures as the quintessential image of the pirate. His ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, was discovered off the coast of North Carolina in 1996, sparking renewed interest in this legendary figure. Henry Morgan, a Welsh privateer turned pirate, is often remembered as one of the most brutal pirates in the Caribbean during the late 17th century. But unlike most pirates, Morgan's story has a surprising twist. He ended his career with a knighthood and a governorship. Morgan's most infamous exploits were his raids on Spanish colonies, particularly his attack on Panama City in 1671. At the time, Panama was one of Spain's wealthiest settlements in the Americas. Morgan and his men marched overland across the Isthmus of Panama, overwhelming Spanish forces before sacking the city. Despite his ruthless tactics, Morgan was politically astute, navigating the complex relationships between England, Spain, and the Caribbean colonies. His loyalty to England earned him a royal pardon and later a knighthood in 1674. He was appointed the Lieutenant Governor of Jamaica, where he lived until his death in 1688. Morgan's life demonstrates the thin line between piracy and privateering, a line often blurred in the chaotic world of the 17th century Caribbean. Now, let's talk about 2 of the most famous female pirates to ever sail the seas, Bonny and Mary Read. These 2 women shattered the conventions of their time, proving that the world of piracy was not just for men. Bonny was born in Ireland around 1700 and eventually made her way to the Caribbean, where she met and sailed with John Calico Jack Rackham. Unlike most women of her era, Bonny fought alongside the men on the ship, and her fierce spirit earned her a place in pirate lore. Mary Read's story was equally remarkable. Raised as a boy, Red joined the British military before eventually turning to piracy. She met Bonny while serving on Calico Jack's crew, and the 2 women quickly became inseparable. Their story reached its climax in 1720 when Calico Jack's ship was attacked by a pirate hunter. As legend has it, Bonny and Read were the last 2 pirates standing, fighting furiously even as their comrades surrendered. They were eventually captured and sentenced to hang, though both avoided execution due to their pregnancies. Few pirates were as successful as Bartholomew Roberts, known as Black Bart. In just 3 short years between 1719 and 1722, Roberts captured over 400 ships, making him one of the most prolific pirates in history. Born in Wales around 1682, Roberts was initially reluctant to join the pirate life, but after his ship was captured by pirates, he quickly embraced it. Roberts's daring attacks on merchant and naval ships across the Atlantic earned him immense wealth and notoriety. He was known for his strict discipline aboard his ship and a sense of honor among his men. Roberts' most audacious victory came in 1721, when he captured a fleet of 22 Portuguese ships off the coast of Africa, including a treasure-laden vessel carrying gold, silver, and diamonds. His wealth and audacity were unmatched, but his pirate career ended in 1722 when he was killed in battle by the British Royal Navy. Even in death, Roberts's legacy as one of the most formidable pirates lives on. William Kidd's story is one of the most complex in pirate history. Initially a privateer with a royal commission to hunt pirates, Kidd's career took a dark turn when he attacked the Mughal treasure ship Quetta Merchant. Born in Scotland around 1645, Kidd was a successful privateer who hunted enemy ships for the English government. But when he turned to piracy, his luck changed. The capture of the Quetta Merchant earned him a fortune, but also put a target on his back. Kidd was eventually arrested and tried for piracy in England. In 1701, Captain Kidd was executed in London, but his legend only grew after his death. Tales of hidden treasure fueled rumors for centuries, leading to numerous treasure hunts along the American coast. Franois Lolon was one of the most feared and brutal pirates of the 17th century. Born in France around 1630, Lolon made a name for himself in the Caribbean by attacking Spanish ships and settlements with unparalleled cruelty. Lolon was notorious for his sadistic methods, often torturing captives to extract information or simply to instill fear. His most infamous act was the sacking of Maracaibo, where he tortured and killed hundreds of Spanish settlers. However, his cruelty eventually led to his downfall. In 1669, after being shipwrecked, Lolon was captured by a native tribe and, in a gruesome twist of fate, was killed and reportedly eaten by cannibals. Though Sir Francis Drake is often regarded as a hero in English history, to the Spanish, he was nothing more than a pirate. Drake's raids on Spanish ships and settlements during the Elizabethan era made him a legend on the high seas. Born in Devon, England, around 1540, Drake became the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe, plundering Spanish ships and towns along the way. His most famous raid was the attack on the Spanish treasure fleet in 1587, where he captured vast amounts of silver and gold. Though Drake was knighted by Queen Elizabeth I for his service to England, his actions were seen as piracy by the Spanish, and they refer to him as El Drake, meaning the dragon. Henry Every, or Long Ben, was responsible for one of the most lucrative pirate heists in history, the capture of the Mughal treasure ship Ganj-e-Sawai in 1695. Born in England around 1659, Every's career in piracy was short but highly profitable. The Ganj-e-Sawai was carrying treasure from India to the Mughal emperor, and when Every and his crew seized it, they made off with a fortune. What makes Every's story even more intriguing is his disappearance. After the heist, he and his crew vanished, and his ultimate fate remains a mystery, adding to the allure of his pirate legend. Charles Vane was a pirate known for his violent tactics and refusal to accept pardons when many of his contemporaries were seeking them. Born in England around 1680, Vane was active in the Caribbean during the early 18th century. Vane's most famous act of defiance was his rejection of the royal pardon offered to pirates in 1718. He continued attacking ships in the Caribbean, even as the British Navy intensified its efforts to capture him. His luck ran out in 1719 when he was shipwrecked and later captured. Vane was hanged in 1721, but his rebellious spirit lives on in pirate lore. Finally, we arrive at John Calico Jack Rackham, a pirate whose legacy is intertwined with his relationship with Anne Bonny and Mary Read. Known for his flamboyant clothing, Rackham's career as a pirate was relatively short-lived, but his impact was significant. Born in England around 1682, Rackham became known as Calico Jack because of his preference for brightly colored calico clothing. His career was mostly centered in the Caribbean, and his exploits became legendary, particularly his dramatic capture in 1720. Rackham was hanged the following year, but his association with two of history's most famous female pirates ensured his place in pirate history. Pirates like Blackbeard, Anne Bonny, and Bartholomew Roberts have become legendary figures, representing a time when the seas were ruled by those daring enough to take what they wanted by force. Their stories, filled with danger, adventure, and treachery, continue to captivate us centuries later. But the world of piracy was more than just buried treasure and sea battles. It was a harsh and dangerous existence, one where loyalty was fleeting and survival was never guaranteed. From the Caribbean to the Indian Ocean, these pirates left their mark on history, and their legends continue to inspire books, films, and stories to this day. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the high seas. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more exciting stories from the past. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon.